Greetings, G-Man faithful. This is your Commander-in-Chief, G-Man, reporting to you live from G-Man Live Weekly. And this has been a lot of posts, so not just weekly, especially not when you have the NHL playoffs rolling around, and they start tonight. So, let's break it down for a little bit, because when I came on before, I wanted to just notify, the hockey world out there. And by the way, all the peeps that were checking me out and all the views on G-Man Live, I appreciate that. Check me out on YouTube, also on G-Man Live, YouTube, G-Man Live there. You can also check me out on prosportsliving.com, prosportsliving.com, and Pro Sports Living on Facebook as well. So, all right, let's break this down now. So, you guys dig it? Yeah, exactly. Look at that. The Kings are the Kings. So, all right. Now, when last we were breaking it down, I was telling you guys that if things change, I'd update it. And I did update it. Because on Saturday, the Flyers beat the Penguins and knocked the Bruins out. And so now it will be the Capitals playing the Flyers. So, let's just get into that a little bit real quick, because we did break down some other series. I'll run through these guys real fast so you guys are not bored out of your goddamn mind. Now, when it comes to the Eastern Conference, because I think that the Cup winner could come from the East. By the way, all my basketball fans out there, I'll be doing this also for the NBA, but we're not there yet, so we're going to stick with hockey. Okay, so in the East, let's just jump right in here and go one, first seed, 8th seed, Flyers, Caps. All right, so here's what I see. Everybody out there, all the pundits out there, everybody got the Caps winning this one. Okay, I mean everybody. 5 games, 6 games, 5 games, 4 games. Right. Whenever they say that, always know that shit's not gonna happen. All right. Plus, when you win the President's Trophy, this is why I'm wearing the King. When you win the President's Trophy, it is the biggest fucking curse. Don't ever do it. Now, the Blackhawks won the President's Trophy in 2013. That was a shortened season. But the last team to do it was like 2001. A long time ago. So, it doesn't happen all that often. And when we last saw a team as big, bad, booty daddy like the Capitals that were this many points, this big, bad, they were the Vancouver Canucks in 2012. 2 year in a row President's Trophy winners. Lost to the Kings in 5, and it wasn't even close. Kings were up 3-0 in the series before Vancouver even said hello. So, I think this series will be interesting. I think that you got, these two teams. Now they've played 4 times, okay? First time they played, I'm throwing that out because the Flyers didn't have their full slate of players. They hadn't brought up that goalie, that defenseman yet, Gostisbehere. So they didn't really have their full slate of players, and they kind of came into their own later in the season. So I'm throwing that one out. Now, the other game that you can throw out is the shootout game, but it was a 1-1 game, so I'm going to give everybody, on both sides props because, hey, they played good D. Now, that shootout game came about 2 weeks ago or so. It was a 2-1 Flyers win, and then on the other side of the coin, the Caps came to Philly in like early February, and won 3-2, with Flyers being up 2-1, blowing that lead. You kind of wonder, if is that how we're going to have a series like 3-2, 2-1, something like that. And then the Flyers in January went down to D.C. and were up 2-0, blew a 2-0 lead, and then eventually won it in overtime by Voracek scoring a nice goal on hopefully 4-3. So, and then, so that's your 4 games. So, Caps won game 1, Flyers won game 2, the Caps won game 3, Flyers won game 4. That's the season series. Now, you look deeper into this team, what you do see is that Ovechkin doesn't, most of his series are not like, 4 or 5 game series. It just doesn't seem to happen for them. Ovechkin went 7 against the Flyers in 2008, 7 against Montreal in 2010, 7 against the Rangers in 2012, 7 against the Rangers in 2014. He lost, he lost both of them. 7 against the Rangers in 2015, lost that. So, every year, the guy's been in, so let's see, okay, so 2008, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. So he's been in like 6 game 7s. Okay, he's lost them all. So it's not like Ovechkin just tears through it. You know, it's a long series. Ovechkin notwithstanding. Now the other guys on that line are T.J. Oshie and Backstrom, both good players. Not really, guys that have gone deep in the playoffs, but both good players. Because remember, playoff hockey is different than regular season hockey. Big difference, all right? Just ask the Devils, ask the Kings, so it's a big difference, all right? Guys that win in the regular season don't always win in the postseason because it's about coaching and matchups, all right? And who has the hotter goalie. Goalies win cups. Defense and goalies win cups along with coaching. Check these guys in case you want to know. And, offense will just get you to the playoffs, but they don't win you the cup because defense and coaching and goaltending, that's what gets you round by round by round. So, that being the case, we take a look at, the other lines that the Caps bring. Second line, they got like Wilson with Williams and that Brukowski guy. Third line, I think, is Kuznetsov with... I forget the other two players. Somebody mentioned in the comments below. But any event, now on defense, they're not really all that stout on D. Like Osner and Carlson and Brooks Orpik, they're going to roll out that old fossil. Niskanen, I mean, these are decent players. They're not great defensively. These are decent players defensively. Nobody's going to rock them, sock them on you on D back there. So the Flyers aren't going to be taking like pounding hits. I don't see that, at least from how things look from here. But the Flyers, on the other hand, they're not the biggest team offensively, so we'll see how that one was. And then of course Holtby, great goalie, man. Dude had like 47, 48 wins. I think he tied Brodeur, but didn't beat Brodeur in the regular season win count. So had good goals against also. So when we look at this, from a Caps point of view, they actually have a pretty good team. There's a reason why this team won 120 points or got 120 points, 55 wins, or whatever. But they actually weren't as good as their 2010 Caps that went number one seed and also had about 124 points. They lost like 4 games at home, so they actually were a better team. They averaged 4 points a game, 4 goals a game actually back then. So, it's kind of tough to say that this Caps team was better than that Caps team, and that Caps team blew a 3-1 lead, and Montreal went to the Eastern Conference Final that year. So, the goalie back then, Halak. So, if Mason can do what Halak did back then the Flyers should do what Montreal did back then and move on. If he doesn't, they won't. And that's what my prediction is going to be. If Mason is able to channel his inner Halak for this series alone, then yes, the Flyers will be able to beat the Caps. And I know that that's not the prevailing view. I know I'm qualifying it. But when you look at this Flyer team, first line, Giroux, Shen, Simmons, you got Voracek on the second line with Couturier, and Raffle. And then on your third line, you got Reed. I forget the fourth line is actually the fourth line is this fourth line of the Flyers is actually one of their biggest benefits. Because one of their biggest things that they get is they get a ton of energy out of Belmare, Van de Velde, and Ryan White. Don't overlook Ryan White. He's like the Kirk Maltby of this team from the Red Wings of yesteryear. And it's because the dude comes to play. He's a tough hitter. I mean, he does all the little things that you want. The Caps don't necessarily have that type of guy. Simmons is also like that kind of guy as well. So the Flyers have some gritty guys. The Caps have a lot of nice and flowery guys that kind of can score and shoot. But in the playoffs, you need those gritty guys. And I think that grit is going to carry over. Grit is what gets you through in the playoffs. All right. Now the Flyers do have balanced scoring with Giroux and with Simmons. With Shen, you can get some secondary scoring with Couturier, Matt Reed, Voracek. You need that. If Voracek steps up, wow, this series now totally changes. Because, like I said, the 4 games they played, you basically had 1-goal games throughout the entire. It was 4-3, and then 3-2, and then 2-1, and like I said, I'm throwing out that first game. So, on the back line, Flyers are a little bit shorthanded without Del Zotto, but with Gostisbehere, Mark Streit, Radko Gudas, who is the best hitter of all of the defensemen in this series. Radko Gudas playing on the line with Brandon Manning, and then you got Nick Schultz with Andrew McDonald. That's probably the weakest of of all the defensive lines. That's the weakest. That's the Flyers' biggest weakness. So they're going to have to find a way to get their defense rolling where those two guys aren't on the ice all that much. Preferably if you're actually up, a goal or two. You put them out there. Of course, the counter argument is if they're up a goal or two, you don't want them out there to fuck up the lead. So, like I said, it comes down to goaltending, defense. I think if Mason plays similar to what Halak did, then yeah, there's no reason why this Flyer team cannot advance. So, yep, if Mason does a Halak trick, then I'm going to go Flyers in 6. And be careful of that all problematic first game, because I'll give you a little Flyer capital history, right? So if you go back to 1988, 88, 89, in 88, Flyers won game 1, lost the series in 7. In 89, they won game 1, lost the series in 7. In 89, lost game 1, won game 2, won the series in 6. In 2008, they lost game 1, won the series in 7, and now we're here. But I think game 1 actually serves a major purpose in this game because of the fragility of, like the fragile nature of the Caps if they were to lose game 1. Would they be squeezing those sticks? I think they would be. I think they'd be a little nervous, because of obviously what happened in previous years. So, but I'm like, if I'm the Flyers, I'm downplaying what happened in previous years. Don't make a difference because you're just the 8th seed. Hey, we got nothing to worry about. The stress and the pressure is all down there in DC, okay, not in Philly. So, yep, I'm gonna go. Like I said, I'm gonna go with the counter view, kind of like the Kings did in 2012. If they steal that resolve in that first game, it's gonna have them wonder. And that Vancouver team, by the way, was no slouch. All right, they were stacked in that year of 2012. They went to the Cup in 2011 and lost in Game 7. So that team was better than this Caps team, hands down. And they still got taken to the woodshed by those guys. By them. By Quick. Harlem Knights. So that's kind of how I see, that's kind of what I think is going to happen there. Now, real quick, other races. Penguins, Rangers. Rangers are a little banged up right now. I know they got Lundqvist, makes this a tougher series. I'm going to go Penguins because they're hot, and I think that this is not the same Penguin team of the last couple of years. I think this is a very, very dedicated Penguin team. It seems like they're on a mission. They're the hottest team in the league. I'm going Pittsburgh in 6. Next matchup, you got Detroit and Tampa. I'm going Tampa in 6. If Ben Bishop plays even better than I think he can play, it could even be 5s. I think Detroit is like, smoke and mirrors. And then you got Florida against the Islanders, and I think in that series I'm going to go Florida. Probably in 7, though. This is going to be a long series. We'll go Florida because the Islanders are really banged up all the way from the front to the goalie, and from the goalie on out. They're just banged up everywhere. That's going to catch up on them. So then you have the Florida Panthers and Tampa. In that matchup, interestingly enough, the team that plays the better defense, oddly, is the Florida Panthers. So, the Florida Panthers are going to find themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals with Luongo and company. 5 years after Luongo's prime, Luongo will be back. In the other conference, though, if you have the Flyers playing the Penguins, I'm going to have to go Penguins on that because the Penguins are the team to beat. Penguins, Florida. This matchup actually happened once before, 1996, and the Panthers won. This time around, not going to happen. The Penguins will win, and they will find themselves in the Stanley Cup Final, which is exactly what I predicted in my previous one, so no changes in the last couple days. In the Western Conference, you have number 1 seed Dallas versus Minnesota. I'm calling upset city right there. Ding, 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 ding. Upset city. Minnesota will move on, and they will win it in 6 games. A lot of upsets in the first round. When they do happen, they happen in the first round. So that's how I see that going in Minnesota versus Dallas. Now, in the next series, you have Chicago versus St. Louis. Now, this one's going to be a little tougher because they've played each other now 3 years in a row, but Chicago still going to win this 6 or 7 games. I'm going to go Blackhawks to win this series and move on in the playoffs. Now, in the other division, Anaheim, Nashville. Again, this one could go deep because I don't like Anaheim's goaltending. I just don't. I think Anderson and Gibson throw them out. So I would go in this one. I would go with Nashville to steal this series with Pecorini and go 7 games, win this one. But I would go LA to knock off San Jose in about 5 or 6 games, and then LA will play Nashville. So LA, Nashville, I like LA in that one. Take them out in about 6. LA is in the Western Final, and Chicago knocking off Minnesota again to go to the Western Conference Final. So once again, for like the 8 millionth year in a row, it's Chicago and LA, Western Conference Final, but this is an even numbered year, and you know what that means. These are the boys that are coming to play. So the Kings are going to the Cup, and they will play the Pittsburgh Penguins when they do, and the Kings will hoist Lord Stanley's Cup. For the 3rd time in 6 years, and they will match their buddies over in Chicago when they had their 3rd cup in 6 years. So everybody enjoy the playoffs that begin tonight. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, don't even worry about it, because I will be providing you with more. So everybody that's out there likes G-Man Live, check me out on YouTube, G-Man Live, YouTube, and ProSportsLiving.com, ProSportsLiving.com, and you can check me out there too with some blogs as well as some videos on ProSportsLiving.com on Facebook. So, so that will wrap this video up. Anybody wants to say anything, put it in the comments below, and everybody enjoy the NHL playoffs, because it is the hardest trophy to win in North America, the most sought after trophy to win, and it is an absolute grind. Like I've always been saying, from tax day to flag day, if you want to win, you must play every day, and that will do it from here. So peace out, everybody, and have fun.